about to say. Sunshine, she's here, you can take a break. I'm a hot air balloon that could go to space. With the air, like I don't care, baby, by the way. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like a room without a roof. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like happiness is the truth. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you know what happiness is to you. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like that's what you want to do. Here come bad news, talking this and that. Well, give me all you got and don't hold it back. Well, I should probably warn you, I'll be just fine. No offense to you, don't waste your time. Here's why. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like a room without a roof. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like happiness is the truth. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you know what happiness is to you. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like that's what you want to do. Hey, go. Bring me down. Can't none bring me down.
Welcome everybody to Wellness Week. I hope you guys are ready for this amazing event. Okay, so I guess we'll start off with some announcements. Let me just bring these up really fast. I hope you guys are having an amazing day today, by the way, not the well. Okay, so Wellness Week, Mental Health Night. Obviously you guys are here, so you saw that announcement. There's animal themed First Friday game night on March 4th. That is tomorrow at 6 p.m. Mountain Time. Link in homeroom for under student activities, animal themed Kahoot, Pictionary, and all middle schoolers are invited. The deadline, this is super important, guys. The deadline to submit pre-midterm assignments for non-self-paced classes is Tuesday, March 8th. So that is next week in about 5 days. So I hope you guys are, able to submit all those assignments in time. So are you really, okay, so it looks like we have inspiration hour tomorrow. So that is that. And then we also got the ice skating party burger meet. I don't know what is going on with my screen, guys. It is going crazy. I hope you guys didn't see my messages. Okay, so that is March 25th from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. And all LAU students, family members, and friends are invited to join us at the Peaks Ice Arena in Provo for a night of ice skating, pizza, desserts, and other fun. So that is the announcements, guys. Don't forget to check that out soon. Okay, so I guess we'll get on into introducing Dr. Dave. So yeah, as you know, as I just said, he's known as Dr. Dave on campus and across the country. Dr. Schramm is an associate professor and family life extension specialist in Utah at Utah State University in the Department of Human Development and Family Studies. From British Columbia to Beijing, China, and from St. Louis to San Diego. My goodness, sorry. Dr. Dave has given over 500 presentations, classes, and workshops to a variety of audiences, including the United Nations and a TEDx talk in Florida. He married his high school sweetheart, Jamie. They have 4 children, and he might have a slight addiction to peanut M&Ms. And the Schramm fam lives in North Logan, Utah. So, Dr. Dave, go ahead, take the floor. We are so excited for you. actually, you know, before we get into this, we are going, okay, so the first portion of this meeting will be Dr. Dave giving us an amazing lecture about how anxiety and positivity affects our mental health. And the second portion of the meeting will be time for questions. So if you have any questions, make sure you put Q before your questions, because, you know, the chat can get kind of crazy sometimes and all the questions will get left behind. That's just kind of how it works sometimes. That's okay. But just remember that you put the Q before your question, and we will compile a list of those questions in a doc. And when Dr. Dave is ready, we will get on with the questions. So yeah, just remember, put the Q before your question, and then you're good to go. So yeah, that's pretty much it for me. Dr. Dave, go ahead and take the floor.
Thanks, Liam, or LD, right? Because now we're best buddies. I'm coming to you live. So I'm a professor at Utah State University, but I'm down here in Lehigh, Utah, at Thanksgiving Point at a conference, and so I'm glad I was able to make all of that work. You can see my little hotel room. I didn't make my bed today, but I was jumping on it earlier. And guess what? Later tonight, I'm having a pillow fight with myself, but it's gonna be a lot of fun. So I have 4 kiddos, the Schramm fam, as I call them. And so our 3 daughters, and they are 20, 18, and 16. In fact, our 16-year-old had ankle surgery today. She's a cheerleader and had a lot of tendon stuff that she had to fix, but she's okay. She's okay. She's gonna be on crutches for like 6 weeks. And then our son is in 8th grade. So that's a little bit about me, the Schramm fam. So they call me Dr. Dave. Why do they call me Dr. Dave? So I was a professor at University of Missouri for 9 years before coming here to Utah State. And I remember teaching my first class at Mizzou. And I came home, and our daughter, she was like 4 or 5 at the time. And I said, honey, it's the funniest thing. They call me Dr. Dave. And our daughter heard me. And she said, she looks up at me and she said, Dad, you're not a doctor. I said, actually, Mallory, and I've had 10 years of school here. I'm trying to convince this 4-year-old that I'm a doctor. And she looks up at me and she says, Dad, you're not a doctor. You don't help anybody. I thought, what? Young lady, I'll help you to a room, right? So why would she say that? Because she thought, doctor with scrubs and all that kind of stuff. So I promise I'm a doctor, and I really do try to help people. So I'm going to share my screen. We're going to get started. Yeah, it's like Liam said, put the questions and stuff in the chat. And let me see if I can get all this figured out. Share this. Boom. Okay, here we go. So I'm going to talk about some tips, some resilient tips for becoming better after experiencing the bitter, because seriously, we have been through just like the last 2 years, including like the last week with all this and invasion and stuff. It's craziness, right? Just there's been like more stressful things in the past 2 years, like in the past 20 years put together, it feels like. So I'm going to share some things that you can apply starting today. We're actually going to practice some of these. So if you have a piece of paper and a pencil or pen, find some of that right now, like scramble and go get some, because we'll use it here in a little bit. Okay. So anyone remember? It's like, 2020, we're looking forward to this year. And you take a drink, you're like, ding, right in the face. Matthew McConaughey, you guys know him, January 1st, he's like, yes, what a great new year. And then by June, he's like, oh my gosh, right? All of this kind of looked like this after a while. Okay, so looking back, do you remember the beginning of all this? When masks weren't a thing, you couldn't like get masks anywhere because they weren't a real thing. And people just started creating everything, just from bags and scuba gear and face, all of these kind of stuff. I think the lady in the bottom right with the Scotch pad, I guarantee there are more chemicals in that Scotch pad than there ever would be in anything that she could ever get. But okay, on a more serious note, holy smokes, what has this done? It's created a lot of unhappiness, not only an anxiety and stress and mental health struggles, not only for your age group, but for Americans and actually all over the world. In fact, we're like one of the most unhappy times in the history, is for, at least in the last 50 years, for as long as they've tracked happiness, we're actually on this bottom. So what percentage of people say that they're happy? It actually is pretty low. But you look at the things what is it that actually contributes to real happiness? And you see it's physical health, it's family, it's relationships, children, friendships. Those things are really the things that can bring us the most happiness. You look at the time spent on social media. Isn't that interesting? And that's where everyone turned, is their phones during that, because that was the only real connection that we had with the outside world. It felt like, I remember our kids like sneaking away and just driving their car at the high school, and they would park them in these big circles, like 6 feet apart, and they just get on top of their cars and just chat because they couldn't stand to be kept away. It was really a tough time. So we've had some bitter years. So honestly, what is it that can make us better? And that's where I study kind of the science of happiness, the science of positivity. I study parenting and relationships, because those are some of the things that make people the happiest. So I'm going to share some of these findings of what really separates those people who do really well during stressful times and those people who tend to tank. And I'll give you some happy hacks, some things that you can do right starting tonight, you can do to improve positivity and well-being. So previous thinking on happiness was this: for lots and lots of decades, it used to be this, that happiness is the reward for doing our best. Like if I study really, really hard, or if I work hard at school and maybe, get scholarships, and then I go into college and the college that I want, and then I'll be happy someday. That's really the honest thinking. If I work really hard at my activities, in the clubs or in athletics or anything that I'm involved with, if I work really hard at that stuff, then I'll be successful. And then at the end of the day, or the end of the year, at the end of the game, then I will be happy. The same thing at work. If I work, just bust my can, work really hard, then I'll be successful, and then I'll be happy. Okay, now we have to hit pause on all of this, because new research in positive psychology and happiness shows that it actually works the other way around. We become so much more successful when we're happier first, and it just fuels all these other outcomes. So when we're positive, then we're actually remember things, right? It fuels all these other outcomes. We're able to retain more. Creativity increases. We're better able to memorize things. We work harder. We do so much better. We're 31% more creative. All of this work effort increases when we're happy and positive first. So I'm going to share 4 principles. This is 8 words, so it's not going to be very long, and I hope that you'll memorize it. I talk about search inward, turn outward, look upward, press forward. Those are my 8 words. That is honestly the science of resilience and positivity and happiness boiled down to 8 words. Boom, right there. Search inward, turn outward, look upward, and press forward. And I'll talk about each of these, and then we'll answer some questions at the end. Okay, you ready? And I'm going to talk this fast the entire time, because I talk really fast. And so, and I'm happy to send the slides out and stuff if you're just like, oh man, slow down, Dr. Day, I'm trying to take notes. I'll send all the slides out too, and share them. Okay, so the first one, searching inward. Okay, so what is it? Big picture stuff. What is it honestly that contributes to happiness? Okay, about half of our happiness you can credit, or you can blame, curse your parents, because about half of our happiness is inherited, genetic. And a lot of things are inherited, right? Our body mass index, how much you weigh and how tall you are, and even mental health stuff, a lot of that is inherited. It's in our genes. Okay, so what about the other slice of the pie? Only about 10%, this might surprise you, only about 10% is your circumstances. This is kind of, the job that you have, your friends, how much money, what kind of phones in your pocket, or what kind of car you drive, or the size of that you're living in, your house. All that only accounts for about 10%, because we get used to things really, really fast. You get a new pair of like Air Jordans. Yeah, I'm so stoked. Only for about 24 to 72 hours. And then you come back down. Right? Christmas time or birthdays, when you receive a lot of presents and gifts, it's this exciting, exhilarating time. And then you come back down off of that. And then it takes a more like, a new purse, or, a new pair of shoes, or whatever it is. You go bungee jumping in this thrill, and then you tend to come back down. So that's why science shows stuff only accounts for about 10%. So you mathematicians, what's left? Right, 40%. And guess what? I get really excited about this 40% because this is stuff that we can control. These are your thoughts. These are your actions. These are things that you get to control, that you have a lot more say over the slice of pie. A lot of the other stuff, yeah, a little bit, and like zero over your genes. But this 40% is the slice of the pie. That's what I'm going to tackle tonight. Okay, the first one, it's called discover and use your strengths. Now, we're not talking about, we just got done with the Olympics, not talking about singing and dancing, lifting weights, that kind of stuff. Here is a list of what scientists have come up with. They call these signature strengths, about 24 of these, and you have these in different categories. And I put a little QR code action right there. Yeah, so don't take it right now. Maybe just jot this one down or take a picture of the screen or something. But this is your homework, and you're going to get graded on this. Well, okay, maybe not, but maybe. Yeah, it'd be cool if you did. Just jot it down, viacharacter.org, and then take this, okay? And what it will do, it's going to crank out your top 5 signature strengths. And what I did is I copied my 5, and I copied and pasted them into a Word document. Then I printed them out, and then I cut them out, and I actually have them at the bottom of my computer screen at school. So I literally focus on and you see my strengths every single day. Because we're well aware of our weaknesses, aren't we? We know what those are. And so one of the keys to happiness, people who they discover, and then they use their strengths. So searching inward is about, okay, what are my gifts, talents, the strengths? What are the things that I have that I can develop? So again, a little homework assignment, be sure to fill that out and then print it out. Okay, another thing I want to focus on is the positives in your past. So much of what we do when we worry and stress about our anxiety, which I'll talk about in a little minute, is kind of the worry about the past, or we stress sometimes about the things that have passed, and we think about all the yucky stuff, whether it's abuse and neglect. So there are some negative things in our past. But one of the things that science shows that happy and positive and productive and successful people do is that they find the gems in their past. They find the positive experiences in their past. Okay, so here's another crazy cool homework assignment. So if there's teachers and stuff on here, you could use this, is that you just take some time to jot down on a piece of paper. You won't have time to do it right now, but you can even take a picture of this, like some of the favorite events, some of the best experiences, things that made you who you are today. And you can create a slide. And I'm giving you an example right here. Okay, so this is Dr. Dave's. In order to understand me, you have to know these things about my past. Does that make sense? Right. So there's the Schramm fam. You see our Schramm fam on the top left. I grew up camping. I was a huge camper. Grew up in Payson, Utah. We went camping a lot. My dad was a school teacher, so we didn't have a lot of money. So we went camping a whole ton. I gave a TED talk. This represents that I love to speak. I love to do trainings and teach and share things that can improve their lives and relationships. I grew up a huge BYU fan. I went to their basketball games. I wanted to play for BYU. My wife, that bottom one, that's not her, but that kind of represents her. She had brain surgery. So my wife, I married her, and then 2 years later, she had brain surgery. And that was really scary. That was really tough. She's okay now, but they took a little chunk of the back of her skull out. And so that made her who she is. And it changed me as a person. I'm a huge snowboarder. I love any snowboarders out there. Like snowboard, shred it up. Yep. Wear all that drippy, outfits and stuff and shred. Yeah. So isn't that crazy? So I'm a crazy snowboarder. And so my son snowboards because he has to. No, he really likes to. I grew up playing sports. I played basketball and I played tennis in high school. So I love pickleball and tennis, and I love to read. So I will put a picture of books down there. So you can see a little bit about me. So this can be a great little activity that you simply, even if you don't share it with others, it's great to be able to say, what makes me who I am? In order for someone to really understand, right, me, what do they need to understand about me? What experiences, what people, what events, what places did I visit? Does that make sense? To really search inward and discover this is who I am. It can be a very, very powerful experience. To put together even just one slide, what would you put on that slide? And maybe jot, even if you're thinking about it right now, jot a few notes down and be like, man, this makes me who I am. Okay, one of the dangers in all of this, especially in your age and your era, is the phone stuff, the social media stuff, because I love this quote by Teddy Roosevelt: comparison is the thief of joy. Holy smokes. Yeah, I just put that on your forehead. Comparison is the thief of joy. It really is. As soon as we start comparing ourselves, because what we often do, honestly, is we start comparing our worst against somebody else's bests. And so don't compare. Don't compare. I'm going to share right now, just full disclosure right here. Guess what I got at ACT? My score. I got a 19 my first time. And then I studied and studied and took a book and read a book and had a class. And guess what? I took it again and I got a 21. Holy smokes. So I didn't compare myself. But now look, I'm a PhD. I'm living my dream life, right? So don't get so stressed out about these types of things along the way, and don't compare yourself to others. Okay, does that make sense? Don't get so stressed out. It doesn't mean don't study in things. Do your very best. And that was my very best. Dang it. I'm not a good test taker. Don't get so stressed out and anxiety, because it will control you. Okay. Another part of searching inward is that meditation, mindfulness, simply being able, sometimes when you're really stressed out, take a few breaths. Did you know that at Google, they actually have a little thing that goes off on their phones or on their watch, and it's called like a little 2-minute reset. And they're instructed to take their hands off of their keyboard at Google when this goes off, and just simply sit back in their chair and close their eyes, no looking at their screen, and they simply just breathe in and out. They just pay attention to their breaths in and out, and then they reset and they go back to work. Isn't that crazy? Google, these major companies are finding that, yeah, when you can slow down, I can't slow down very fast. I'm very good because I talk really fast. The slowing down and being very mindful and intentional. Okay, the happiest people I know, here's one of the big secrets today. The happiest people I know are those who have learned to enjoy their day. They've learned to enjoy their day, who they're with, what they're doing. They're able to mindfully slow down, take some breaths, and not feel overwhelmed and reset. So learning to enjoy the present moment. All right. So all of us, can't get ready for this. This is going to blow you away. I'm getting so excited. Okay. All of us experience emotions in the present moment. And everyone's like, duh, Dr. Dave, right? When else can you experience an emotion? Okay, but stick with me. So all of us experience emotions in the present moment, but many of our emotions are anchored either in the past or in the future. So pay attention. So here's past, present, and future. Again, okay, look at those that are experienced in the past. These are emotions like grief, sadness and anger and regret and shame and guilt. You're annoyed, you're disgusted with someone, you hate someone, you're hurt. Anyone ever been hurt? Yeah, emotionally. So of course we experience those in the present moment, but they're anchored about something that has already happened. Because you can make yourself mad just by thinking about something, being like, something that this person said, or something this friend or someone that cut me off this morning. You can actually make yourself mad by dwelling on something that's happened in your past. So I'm not saying you shouldn't experience these emotions. We're meant to experience all emotions. The key is don't set up camp in the past. Okay, did you hear me? Don't set up camp in the past. It's okay to look in the rear view mirror of life, but choose not to stare. Okay, my sister Jolene, in fact, yeah, Suzanne Olsen, Jill. She's the one who actually gave me that quote. It's okay to look in the rearview mirror of life, but choose not to stare. Okay, what about future emotions? Check this out. Holy smokes, anxiety. We're talking about stress and worry and this fear. Fear is always, these are all future oriented. You're anxious about something. Anxiety is basically fear plus uncertainty equals anxiety. That's actually the equation for anxiety is fear plus uncertainty is anxiety. So it's this worry about things that haven't even happened yet. Now, again, I'm not saying you shouldn't experience these emotions. Just don't set up camp in the future. Don't spend all that time there, because why? You miss out. Look at these present emotions. Isn't this wild? Look at those happiness and peace and love. They're experienced in the present and they're anchored in the present. Now, there's some that bleed over into hope and optimism, anticipation. That's the future, and appreciation about the past. Those are okay. But look at that. The bulk of those emotions, kind of those positive emotions you might label, are right there in the present moment. So that's why I said the happiest people I know, my friends, are those who have learned to enjoy the moment, to have learned to enjoy the experience, who they're with, what they're doing, even to find some kind of a positivity in the present. So, I mean, that nugget right there, that takeaway to say, but what happens when we start to, when we don't have anything to do, and we get bored, our mind starts to wander. Where does it wander to? It tends to wander to one of these two things. It tends to wander either the future or to the past. So a wandering mind is kind of a dangerous mind a little bit, because we tend to wander and flow and drift to these emotions out here instead of being present. So that's why mindfulness is in the present moment. We're paying attention to who we're with and what we're doing. So huge takeaway, right? Yeah, put that on the gram. Okay, so which seeds are you watering? This is another one that I think is super powerful, and it relates to the one we just talked about. Okay, your mind is like a piece of land planted with many different kinds of seeds. We just got done talking about all these seeds on the previous slide. Seeds of joy, and that's present, right? Peace, present. Mindfulness, understanding, and love, all those are present. Seeds of craving, anger in the past. Fear in the future, hate and forgetfulness. These many different kinds of seeds are always there, sleeping in the soil of your mind. And then get ready here, I'm going to blow you away. The quality of your life depends on the seeds you water. Shut down the PowerPoint. We're done. Look at that. The quality of your life depends on the seeds that you water. If you plant tomato seeds in your gardens, tomatoes will grow. Just so if you water a seed of peace in your mind, peace will grow. When the seeds of happiness in you are watered, you will become happy. When the seed of anger in you is watered, you will become angry. And then he says, the seeds that are watered frequently are those that will grow strong. Oh man, you got all kinds of stuff to put on Instagram tonight. That's good, isn't it? Isn't that good? The key here, you are the master gardener. You're the one holding the watering can. You really are. You're the master. All those seeds are there. All those emotional seeds, they're all there in your noggin. And then it depends on which ones you are watering. So yes, it feels like so much more control now over those things in your life, to be able to step back and put things in proper perspective. Okay, number 2, turn outward. So search inward is always about you, because it's kind of discovering more about you and mindfulness and search, what are your strengths, gifts, and talents? Turning outward is never about you. Now, okay, isn't that wild? The two of the biggest sources of happiness, one is about you, and turning outward is never about you. Okay, and here's a little insight on this. Here's where the world gets things mixed up, because outside, right, and all of the world and all that noise that you hear has these two backwards. Okay, the recipe for misery is this: search outward and turn inward. It just flips those suckers. Isn't that crazy? Search outward for outward approval and comparing myself to others and all these search. If I can just buy more stuff and get this phone and get these new pair of shoes or do this, you're searching outward for happiness. It doesn't last. It's only 10% of that happiness pie, man. And then turning inward, it's like, oh, all about me and all these selfies and just me. No, don't turn inward. Instead, search inward and turn outward. That's the key. Okay, gratitude. Oh man, we know from studies, Robert Emmons says, and he's written these books, which are crazy awesome, that gratitude helps us recover from loss and trauma. Anyone experienced loss or trauma in the last 2 years, right? It helps us to deal with the slow drip of everyday stress, as well as the massive personal upheavals in the face of, and then he just goes off right here, suffering, and pain and loss and trials and tribulations. Gratitude is absolutely essential. It's part of our psychological immune system, my friends. If you want to be happy, be grateful. What's the purpose of our immune system? I just got over COVID last week, right? Got a little bit of hack and a little bit of, get worn out really easily, especially when I get excited like this. I'll just pass out after I'm done. Our immune system is meant to fight off disease, and we boost that with like vitamin C and essential oils and vitamin D and zinc and all this kind of stuff. But what is it then that our psychological immune system, have you ever even heard of that? It's gratitude. gratitude is one of those keys. So I'm going to give you some gratitude hacks. Okay. So you jot some of these down. We're going to try some of these. Okay. First is just 3 good things. They've actually done studies where it's the napkin study, where you write 3 good things that you're grateful for. And they had people throw away the napkin. And they wanted to see, is it actually, jotting things down, or is it keeping these things? And it was actually the process of jotting these 3 things down. So it's jotting these things down, and they have to be different and they have to be very specific. In fact, they did a study and showed if you're like, oh, I'm grateful for my phone and water and my dog, that did nothing for people. But when they were very specific and things like, oh, I'm so grateful for my son, for example, because this morning he told me I'm his best pal and he loves me forever. That, you see, that is very specific and it's different. 3 things every day that you're grateful for. Okay. This one, you got to do this. If you have a piece of paper, after you get done, totally do this. You just write down 4, get a piece of paper and just divide it into 4 areas. And you put people in one, and then places, and then experiences, and then things. And then you number 1 to 10. And you just go through and you think, okay, who are the 10 people in my life I am so stinking grateful for? Who means the most? Who made the biggest impact on my life? And for this kind of sake, you might just put family instead of every name, member of your family, because then you might have all 10 if you have a lot of kids. So instead of doing that, just put family and then go through and name people, the top 10 people. You could even try doing that. The top 10 places, places that you visited or been, or oh my gosh, I remember going to the Redwood Forest or going down to Moab and seeing arches or whatever. And then experiences that you've had. And these could be even tough experiences, but then you're so grateful for now. And then things I'm so grateful for electricity, dang it, or I couldn't even be doing this Zoom right with you right now, or whatever it is. Going through and jotting down your 10 things that you're grateful for. Really do this either now or sometime, because this exercise alone, what does it do? You're not thinking about who when you're doing this. You're not thinking about you. Yeah, I don't think anyone here would be like, I'm going to put myself at the top of this list. I'm so grateful for me. No. We wouldn't do that, would we? Because this is always about other things. It's outward. That's the key to happiness, is understanding that life's not about you. Okay, and then you take that list of people, look at that list of people, if you've made a list or started a list, and you write them a letter, or you could send them a text even. You could send them an email. The best part of this, the studies show, is you actually write things out, a little letter, and then you read it to that person in person, right? Face to face. There's going to be tears. I'm telling you right now, right? If you try this, there's going to be tears. But take time, make time to write a letter to thank those people. So a wise person once said this. He said, you should never fail to thank those who have taught you well. Oh man, as soon as I heard that, you know what I did? Yeah, start jotting down all these people that I needed. And I sent them, I actually wrote letters to people in my life, former high school teachers or religious leaders, people who made a huge difference in my life. It changed me. It changed me. Because I thought about, wow, all these other people have made my life so much better. I've got to thank them. I have to thank them. We should never fail to thank those who have taught us well. Okay, so that one's huge. Even if they're no longer living, write a letter to them. You could go to their gravesite. You could even sit in your living room and read it out loud. It's powerful. Let's try that. Okay, in the Schramm family, one of the things that we do in our family, at the end of the night, in our family, we have a family prayer. And then I share one thing that made me happy, and my wife does. And then each of our children share one thing that made them happy. We call it our happy thought. But you can do it at dinner time. Some people will call it, the best part of your day, or roses and thorns, one thing that went well, one thing that maybe not so well today. Try that. Try, even in your families, a new tradition. Hey, we're going to share one thing that made me happy that day. The best part of the day. Okay, dinner time, just having some kind of tradition. Mental subtraction. So this comes back to your top 10 people, places, experiences, and things. So, all right, so you're brushing and this isn't a toothbrush, but you're brushing your teeth, right, at night. What do you do for 2 minutes while you brush your teeth? Yeah, now mental subtraction. This is what you're going to do. So you mentally subtract. You go, you get your list. You're like, holy smokes, what would my life be like without, right, electricity, or my mom, or Hawaii, or whatever that place was. So you mentally subtract those things on your list. You think, wow, what would my life really be like without? And then so mental subtraction is you mentally subtract it, and then hopefully it increases your positivity and happiness. Okay, this is, you ready for this one? I'm so excited. Okay, this one's called text 2 before 10. So I came up with it, and I think it's super powerful. It's where you text 2 people before 10 a.m. a text of love, of gratitude, of sincere appreciation. You could put it in your phone. In fact, everyone pull out your phone right now. Okay, pull out your phone. Hopefully some of you are on your phones right now. Dang it. Okay, get off your phones. No, get on your phones right now. And you're going to send a text to someone right now, a text of love, of gratitude, of appreciation. Just be like, man, it could be a parent or a sibling or a teacher, somebody. You're like, hey, you know what? I just need to let you know that you mean the world to me, or be very specific. I'm so grateful that you gave me a ride, or okay. Everyone think of somebody right now, and you send them a text. Okay, right now. I'm going to do it too. Okay, these do it. And if you're like, oh man, this is cool, I'm going to do it to someone else, then you can text somebody else as well. All right, now, and now some of you are going to text back, and some of you might get a text like, are you okay, son? Are you okay? Or whatever it is. You're kind of worried about it. Send a text, put it in your phone, a little reminder that comes up like at 7:30 or, whatever time. Put a little reminder to text 2 before, it'll pop up and you're like, oh yeah, Dr. Dave said text 2 before 10. You do this for 21 days. That's 42 people, my friends. Holy smart. You're like, man, I don't even know 42 people. You do. You really do. So try it. Try it. This happy hack, it's game changer. Okay. If you like TED Talks, this is a great one by David Sandel Ross. He said, in daily life, we must see that it is not happiness that makes us grateful, but gratefulness that makes us happy. Oh, that's so good. Okay, just wait. Gratefulness is the key to a happy life that we hold in our hands. Because if we are not grateful, then no matter how much we have, do you remember the happiness pie? We will not be happy because we'll always want to have something else or something more. That was good. That was good. Okay, RACs, random acts of kindness. So gratitude and kindness are some of the quickest ways to increase your happiness. Martin Seligman said, doing a kind act produces the single most reliable momentary increase in well-being of any exercise that they've ever tested. They've done 2 decades worth since about 2000 was when positive psychology got rolling. They've done all these exercises, all these kind of scientific kindness. Kindness and gratitude are some of the most powerful ones. Okay, flow. What is flow? Flow is when you almost lose track of time. You're so engaged in an activity that you almost lose track of time. Flow is a great state. Could be playing the piano or doing a puzzle or snowboarding, man, or planting a garden, or even cooking, or even an assignment. You're so engaged. You're like, oh yes, I know this, and you're using your creativity. That's flow. He says it's a state in which people are so involved in activity that nothing else seems to matter. The experience is so enjoyable that people continue to do it, even at great cost, for the sheer sake of doing it. So Mihai Csikszentmihalyi, that's how you say that guy's name. He said this. There he is. The best moments in our lives are not the passive, receptive, relaxing times at the beach. Okay, no, he didn't say that. The best moments usually occur if a person's body or mind is stretched to its limits in a voluntary effort to accomplish something difficult and worthwhile. Because when you're in the state of flow, like the feelings of anxiety and stress tend to melt away because your whole attention, athletes call it getting in the zone. Have you ever heard that, getting in the zone, where they can just shoot three-pointers and everything's going in because they're so dialed in? That's the state of flow. And we're not meant to experience it all the time, but find something that you're really good at, that your strengths, your talents that you do. This is a super good one. So finding flow. Okay. What is it? What are some predictors of staying alive? And I'll tie this all back in. So there's a study that showed these are some predictors of staying alive, ranges from clean air, and there's all kinds of things, but these are just a little sample of some of the answers. Clean air was hypertension treatment, being lean versus overweight, exercise. Actually, other studies have shown it's further to the left. Cardiac rehab, the flu vac. Okay, we won't. I know this is really controversial, so we want to get into vaccines. But flu vaccine on that one. Okay, quitting drinking, quitting smoking. What are the top 2 predictors, my friends, of staying alive? You ready? Get this. Close relationships, and number 1, you're never going to believe it. Get ready. Quitting Fortnite is the number 1 predictor. No, I'm just kidding, man. Just seeing if you're paying attention. Were you paying attention? Okay, no, it's not quitting Fortnite. It's actually social integration. It's actually hanging out with your homies and family friends and relatives and teachers and being around. So close relationships, coming back to like COVID terms, people who you were quarantined with, social integration, all those people you couldn't see because you were quarantined. Does that make sense? So that's the difference in close relationships and social integration. These things, relationships and friends, are so important. Okay, looking upward, and we're going to cruise through these. So stress, take a look at this dog. Okay, now do you think that dog could jump over that net? Like, does that dog look big enough that he could jump over that net? Yeah, it is. Now, but what happens when we get stressed or we have a lot of anxiety and a lot of worry? What happens is that it comes up and it feels like it's right here and there's no way over, right? I can't see, this is so important. And I get so stressed out and worried about it that we can't see all these other, positivity leads to possibilities and negativity narrows. Negativity and stress narrows it so we can only see what's in front of us, like this dog. And you take a step back. And you see this, and she says, this is a good friend from Columbia. She says, Stanley's a pretty smart guy, so this surprised me. He suddenly didn't know how to get around the pickleball net when I called him. It's been there for a few years. He even gave a half lazy effort to try to jump over it. He sat there looking at me like, come on, man, open the gate. So it kind of looks funny, but we have to remember sometimes that's us, and we don't know we can just go around this or to jump over it. The second lesson we can learn from this is when others are experiencing anxiety and stress, we should refrain from just simply giving, oh my gosh, why don't you just jump over the net? Just go around it, stupid. Don't you see? So be patient when others are experiencing a lot of stress and be slow to, jump in and give advice and, oh, you just need to do this. Why don't you think of that? Because when we're in the midst of it, we don't, the net looks 10 feet tall and it looks like it goes on forever. Like we can't go around it. Does that make sense? Okay. What happens is negativity. We're 5 times as more likely to notice negativity and see mistakes. Okay, how many of you noticed it that I misspelled mistakes? I did that on purpose because our brains are wired to focus on things that are wrong. Your brain is wired to focus on negative things. When you bring a report card home and you have like 5 A's and a C minus, hopefully you don't have that. Where does your parents' brains go? Right at the C minus, right? We're wired to focus on the negative in other people, in situations. You have a green grass and you see I have one brown spot. We tend to notice the one brown spot because we're wired to focus on the negative. So we're more drawn to imperfections than on positive qualities. So be open for the good stuff. We tend to notice and find those things that are positive. So if you keep complaining in your life, then you'll find more things to complain about. But when you keep your eyes open for the good stuff, then we will find more of the good stuff that's going on. Okay, the smiling rule, the 10-5 rule. This is a simple little happy hack. The 10-5 rule is simply this. When you're within 10 feet of somebody, smile. When you're within 5 feet of somebody, say hello. And I know it's super hard, especially with phones and everyone's walking around doing this. The 10-5 rule, 10 feet you're smiling, 5 feet you're saying hello. Okay, another little happy hack, starting your day in a positive way. Okay, simple. How many of you are morning people? Okay, I am not. Okay, now I am, but yeah, I'm typically not a morning person. But if we can change the way we start our day, instead of like the negativity, you're jumping on with the scroll and seeing what's going on Instagram or all that. Instead, try getting up a little bit earlier and exercise or yoga, meditation, mindfulness, prayer, reading, texting 2 before 10, right? That's what you're going to do now. Drinking a full glass of water. These are all positive ways to start your day. they can impact the rest of your day. They really can. Yeah, scroll for 45 minutes in a row. Yeah, don't do that. Positive way to start your day sets the tone for the rest of the day. Okay. So I know technoference. Technoference is when technology interferes with positivity. So I'm telling you, my friends, one of the biggest things that increases anxiety and stress is this. So I'm not like anti-phone or even anti-social media. It's great. But I'm going to say that there's a couple of places where you need to put it down. Okay. And these two places are your bed and tables. When you're at a table and you're eating, put away your phone because it is taking over, right? I took this picture when I was with the Schramm fam, giving a presentation. The dad just sat on the phone for the last 10 minutes and didn't say one word when this child's eating. Then another couple comes, they sit down at the exact same table. They pull out their phones. You got to put it away. When you're going out to eat, especially, you look around and then just start noticing everyone else on their phones. Tables are meant for connection, connecting with human beings. Put away the phones, tables and beds, okay? Just make that a habit now and it'll save your marriage. When you put away your phones out of the beds, just trust me. Okay. All right. Okay. Pressing forward and then we'll wrap up. In tough times, really our focus should be on those things that really matter and those things that you can control. You take those two circles. There's a lot of things that don't matter. There's a lot of things out of our control. There's a lot of things that, our circumstances or other people's choices. Focus on those things that you have more control over. Okay. Resources, turning to your resources during times of stressful, turn toward friends, people. It's that one slide show, the social integration. Talk to a teacher, talk to a parent, a sibling, someone when you're feeling really anxious and stressed out. Instead of you can turn to your phone if you're texting a friend and it's really helpful. Creativity, your faith, a pet, journaling, all kinds of things that can help you through stressful and anxious times. Friends, this is the picture of the Schramm fam. We set this picture up where everyone's on their phones, including grandma and the dog is on an iPad. But really cherishing your friends and family, that's what people say they will miss the most. Like they say, if I were to die tomorrow, what would you miss most? It's people. It's relationships, especially your age where you have a few more years and then you're launched, man, forever. Cherish those friendships, face-to-face friendships. So I hope some of this has been helpful. Here is a slide that has some of my favorite, I call them my Dave's Faves. So my all-time favorite books on positivity. And these are not like thick textbooks. No. These are just down-to-earth basic books on happiness, positivity. Some of my favorite at the bottom, Unwinding Anxiety, game changer. The Upward Spiral, favorite book I've ever read on depression. Super, super good. So take a picture of this slide, order these books, get one, every month or something. If you're big readers, you've got to jump into some of this positivity stuff so you can then live it, love it, and share it. Okay. And I'll wrap up with little motivating words from our 8-year-old daughter. She's now 20. But back in the day, I couldn't get our kids to bed fast enough. So Garen, when you were younger, just realize that your parents, there's really stressful days. They're like, okay, stay in your bed. And we always start out with a kind voice. Okay, you need to stay in your bed, sweetie. Okay, no more coming out. And then we start getting irritated. Like, okay, no more coming out. I'm serious. Now don't come out or you're going to be in trouble. And then it's like threats. Now you come out one more time. And then it's desperation. It's like, oh my gosh, $20 bill. If you just stay in your bed, dang it, right? One of those times. It was one of those, not my finest moment. So I was really stressed out. Our kids wouldn't stay in their bed. I go back to my room. I shut the door. I'm like, 5 minutes later, guess what I hear? Boom, 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 boom. These footsteps coming down the hall. I was like, are you freaking kidding me? Okay. And then our doors closed and I heard this noise on our door. And that's when I yelled, get back to your room. Race down the hall. I open the door and there's a note. There's a note from our 8-year-old daughter, this handwritten note. Here's the picture of the note. She says, thanks a lot. I know it can be hard being a mom or dad, but you got to stick with it. And I just remember, I was like, oh man, here's Dr. Dave and 10 years of school, right? So life's going to get hard. Life's going to get hard. And then do you see where it says, look on back? You see on the side where it says, look on back. So I turn the note over and she says, don't worry, we still love you. So, oh man. So life is going to get hard. There's a lot of like crazy and stressful things that you have. But I know that if you search inward, start there, discover your strengths, your talents, print them out, really complete that. Then turn outward, gratitude, kindness, text 2 before 10, smiling, these little happy hacks, mindfulness. Look upward with hope. and positivity, and then press forward through the challenges and rely on your resources, man, it'll help you through challenging times. So, man, I talked a lot really fast. So now, and someone's been keeping track of questions, right? Somewhere throughout that. Okay, so Liam, who is it, you or someone else has those?
That's actually me.
Oh yes, awesome. Okay, sorry.
Okay, so our first question, it was back at the beginning when you were talking about tracking happiness, and they were wondering how you track happiness, how people in general track happiness.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah, good question. So some of it is actually through phones. So they did a study, 15,000 people, and they sent them random texts throughout the day, and they said, okay, what are you doing, and how happy are you? Isn't that wild? So they would just kind of text them how happy, random times per day, and be like, oh, okay, yeah, I'm at school and I'm like a 5 out of 10 or that kind of stuff. So a lot of it is just in the moment, and then they track them for like 10 days or 15 days. So those are kind of the sophisticated studies that track happiness. Others are like, hey, on a scale from 1 to 10 on a survey or that kind of stuff. But the technology is a great way actually of people tracking happiness. Yeah, good.
That is so cool and kind of disturbing at the same time.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, our next question. What are the best strategies you know of for not getting caught up in the stress and worries of the future?
Wow, that's really good. Great question. I come back to little kids. Little kids are some of the happiest people on the planet. Why? Yeah, they don't compare themselves to others. They don't watch the news. They don't, right, have all this crazy stuff. They enjoy the simple little pleasures in life. So being able to slow down, you're eating an apple or an orange for the first time, and just slow down and be like, holy smokes, like I'm the only one that has ever seen and said this orange. That may be kind of an exaggerated example, but slow down the pace of life, take one day at a time, and worry about those. Remember the two circles? There's things that really matter, and there's things that you can control. And where those overlap, then those little things maybe are the things be like, okay, these are the things that I'm going to give my, my worries, my stresses to, but then I'm only going to give them a little bit of time. And after that, yeah, no more. In fact, when they pop into my head, just simply say, oh, gotcha. You're trying to come into my mind again, right? That test or that score or this college application, whatever it is. And then just be like, oh yeah, you did it again. Did you? You try to come back. So paying attention. Here's the formula. If everyone can remember this, the anxiety comes down to this: a trigger, a behavior, and a reward or a result. And that, my friends, is the science of habits, of bad habits, of good habits, of anything. It's a trigger. Something, I'm really hungry, I'm going to get a candy bar, and then I don't feel good. Okay. And so you get stressed out. Stress can be a trigger. Pornography can be a trigger. All these things, it's a habit. Something triggers it, then you do something, and then there's a result, and you feel worse or you feel really good. So positive habits, that is the key to kind of happiness, positivity, habits, bad habits. So trigger, behavior, and result, reward. Okay. Yeah. Good. Hopefully that was helpful.
That was helpful. I made a note because I think that will be very useful.
Yes.
Life application right now. So as a senior, I think we have a couple seniors who here are moving on soon and making decisions, and that's an important question for us. So our next question, we're going to do a funny question here. Back when you were talking about what your evening plans tonight was having a pillow fight with yourself, and we were wondering how that's exactly possible.
Yeah. First, you just get these pillows. First, you got to jump up and down really hard, and then you just start going crazy. So that's actually how it's done. And then the people downstairs will complain, and they'll be like, "What's going on in room 403?" I'll be like, "Oh, no, I'm just having a pillow fight with myself." Oh man, crazy Dave.
I love that so much.
That's how it's done.
I might have to do that because I got two pillows here and nobody else in the house right now. I could just do that with no complaints.
Boom. Yeah, crazy. That's what you do when you're stuck in a hotel room by yourself.
Thank you for that. Next question. How can we help others who seem caught in a downward cycle of self-deprecation?
Yeah, that's a really good one. Okay. The first thing I'm going to say is that you, especially when anyone's feeling an extreme emotion, okay, that can be fear, it's stress, worry, anxiety, anger, even. One of the first best things you can do is what I call holding up the emotional mirror. Okay, you don't try to calm them down, be like, "Hey, that's not big a deal," or anything like that. You simply reflect whatever they're feeling and be like, "I am so sorry. It sounds like you're so upset or mad or angry. Oh, I can see how that you'd be so stressed." You don't have to agree with them, as far as like, "Oh man, it's kind of a scary behavior," but simply have compassion, understanding. Trying to see the world from another person's perspective is really, really powerful. First off, it's awareness. Your awareness is actually huge. Being aware of other people's emotions and their experiences, and then validating those. Hold up the emotional mirror, compassion, understanding, and say, "Man, I'm so sorry you're going through this. I don't have any idea, what you're experiencing. That sounds so difficult and so hard. Do you want to talk about it? I'd love to hear more about what that's like for you, for that experience or that stress or applying. Tell me and then even, what are you doing about it? Like, how are you coping with this? What are some of your strategies?" Kind of talking them through. Now, so you're not playing a role of therapist, because of course, we need to talk to other adults or professionals if they're anything about hurting themselves, kind of suicidal thoughts or hurting themselves. Then let them know that, "Man, I hear you. I'm here for you. And I really feel like you should talk with somebody. Can I go with you to a counselor or talk with somebody?" If you feel like if it's more just like, "Man, I'm so stressed out," be like, "That is stressful." Instead of saying, "Man, you think you're stressed out. I'm studying for that." Yeah. No, don't ever try to like one up somebody with no one likes a one upper. You know what I'm saying? You start talking about yours, and then like, "Oh, I had 3 flat tires on the way to school. Yours is, nothing," or whatever it is. You're just like, okay. I don't know if that's helpful.
Compassion and sympathy. Yeah.
Yeah, huge.
Being there for him, listening. I like that very much. I have so many notes. Next question. What advice do you have for seniors who are suddenly going through a lot of changes in their life and helping them not be scared or worried about what's coming?
Yeah. And it's okay. It's okay to be scared. You remember the emotions, the past, and the present and the future. It's okay to go there, just not to stay there too long, like I talked about with the camps. I would say right now, and it's March, right? March 3rd, 2022, and you're a senior, you're going through some of this. I would highly encourage you to journal your thoughts and your feelings. Like, holy smokes, March 3rd, 2022. What? And actually just jot these down. Like, "Man, I'm pretty stressed out, but you know what I did today? I helped so-and-so, or I sent a text, or I listened to this crazy webinar guy by Dr. Dave." Jot down, find and capture the magical moments of the day, right? And enjoy those, and really try to live each day by finding something good and doing something good. That will make for a great day. Find something good, do something good, because really that's what matters most. The happiest people I know are those also, this is one of the most difficult things you'll experience, is that you're going through a stressor, but you turn outward, even though you're really stressed out, and you help or you serve someone else who is going through something as well. And it could be even more minor than yours. But when you turn outward, that is the happiest road to happiness. Remember the racks and gratitude? That will make you happier than anything else, than wallowing in it or focusing too much on it. But it is okay, right? You're a senior, all these decisions and stuff, and you can't slow down time. So learn to enjoy those things. Maybe jot a few things down. Lessons learned. Who are the people that I need to thank, for getting me to this as a senior? So some of those little things. Who helped me on this journey? Look how far I've come. What have I learned in this process? What am I going to take from this journey as a senior as I move forward? What do I really want to take? What do I want to leave behind? What am I looking forward to? What am I dreading? Jot those things down, really. Those are some little prompts that science shows. The more that you kind of write out your feelings, man, it kind of gets them out of here and onto paper. So anyway, those are some thoughts on that one. Yeah, thanks, Sarah.
Thank you. I think those were very, very wise words, and I think can be very helpful. I think this is our last question, unless anyone else has anything, put it in the chat because we have like 2 minutes left. But last question is, what do you do when you feel scared or frustrated with the future?
Yeah.
We kind of went over that a little bit, but
Yeah. When you get first is simply pausing and being aware of it. You can catch yourself. They actually did a study where they said, it was an 8-year long study about how much stress you experience in your life and whether you believe that stress is harmful to your health. And they actually showed that over 8 years, the people that were most likely to experience the most damage are those who believe, yeah, I have a lot of stress, and yeah, stress is really harmful to my health. If you can simply pause, when you're in the midst of a stressful situation, you're worried, you're stuck in traffic, you're going to be late, pause. I know okay, this is going to sound really weird. The science backs this up. You're going to laugh even. Okay, but the science shows if you will do this little trick, this is a little hack, and it's simply you pause and you say, forever. Simply doing that has been shown. I know it's crazy. It has been shown in the book Unwinding Anxiety by Judson Brewer, crazy awesome book. That little hack, it uses a different part of your brain. Stress and stuff and worry and those emotions are here. When you say, and you get very, very curious about the emotions that you're experiencing, there is a real shift in your brain that goes from the emotional part to the more of the CEO, right? The logical part, the rational part. Just become aware of your emotions and be like, holy smokes, my heart is racing right now. That is so, my heart, my lungs, my body is preparing me for this stressful test or event or experience. Just naming it and getting outside of the moment and be like, oh my gosh, I've got to ace this, or I got to do so well. How am I going to remember all this? That actually creates more worry and an upward spiral. When you can just get curious about it and be like, this is wild. Like my heart is racing right now. Get very curious about the emotion and simply pause and say, okay, I know it's weird. Trust me on this. Look this up even. It's a little hack that can be helpful because it interrupts this trigger, behavior, result, reward, this little anxiety loop that you've done. Even Google it, right? Trigger, behavior, result. Put that in a Google search and look at some of those images and study that little process, my friends. That is one of the biggest aha takeaways from me is reading that book, Unwinding Anxiety. Changed my perspective of how I approach stress. Now, it doesn't mean that I don't get stressed out, but I can catch myself. When you can catch yourself in the middle of a strong emotion, that's very, very powerful. Instead of letting the emotion take you away, pause and you break up that roller coaster cycle, that spiral. So anyway, anything else that came in? I don't have the chat up. Holy smokes, you guys have been crazy awesome. This is so fun, man. I wish I had this kind of fun when I was your age. Instead, I just went out and built a treehouse or something. That's all I had in my backyard. You guys are crazy cool. I hope this has been helpful for you guys. This is you guys are the future of all this. What an exciting time to be alive. A lot of stresses and stuff. Man, so many opportunities that have never been in the history of this world. Yeah, you guys have so much. And yet, all these, and with choices tends to come more stress. And so just kind of take a step back and be able to be like, wow, there are crazy cool opportunities. So I hope this has been helpful. Thanks for tuning in. And I'm going to go this crazy pill fight here in a minute. So you guys, have your own, my friends. Wrapping up from Sarah or Tamara, anybody else, any last words?
Wow, I am so grateful that you could come and teach us about this today. It's so awesome. I'm not gonna lie, I took 50 screenshots when you were giving us the lecture, and my computer storage may or may not be full right now because of that. But it's okay because it's for a great cause. So thank you so much, Dr. Dave. Just so awesome. And I guess we can all agree that we are super happy. Wow, that was cringe. All right, thank you guys so much. All right, thank you for coming, and see you guys later.
See you, dudes. That's awesome, Liam. Oh my gosh. See?